Hi, David with WheelItForwardUSA.org. Today we're talking about specialty wheelchairs. We previously reviewed a reclining back wheelchair, which I have in front of me here, but the next level up from that chair is something called a tilt-in-space wheelchair. While this chair allows the pivot point at the hips to allow somebody to recline, a tilt-in-space chair actually allows for someone to get into what's called a zero gravity position by releasing the entire chair. When you release the entire chair, the seat and the back move together in just one piece. And it allows the person to remain seated in an upright position, but then release weight pressure points on the body by releasing the chair. And by demonstration, I'm just going to tilt this chair back. You see how the back itself turns at the same pivots, at the same time the seat front lifts. And that's just to duplicate the actions that you would see in a tilt-in-space wheelchair. The tilt-in-space wheelchairs are very specialized chairs. The ones that we receive by donation have usually been pre-configured to the measurements of that individual person that used it prior. So having the assistance of a PT or an OT to make sure that our donated equipment meets the needs of the new user is very important. Can't impress on you enough that that needs to be discussed with a medical professional to make sure that that chair works for that patient. Those chairs are not self-propelling, they're manual chairs. The wheels are oftentimes a little bit smaller. We're going to go look at a transport chair that could replicate the type of wheels in a little bit, but for now, those chairs cannot be manipulated by the end user itself. They oftentimes come with very specific matching leg rests. Those leg rests have to be with that chair in order for that chair to work properly. A lot of those chairs have customizable features. The armrests, they could be desk arms, they could be full arms. A lot of them allow for the elevation change of the armrest itself so that the person can hone in more on a desirable position for their seating and comfort needs. They oftentimes come with specialized seat cushions as well, and those can oftentimes adjust an individual for that first person's needs. So you don't want to do something that might have a cushion that helps align the other person's back, whereas that back alignment is not needed for a new person. So tilt-in-space chairs, very helpful to the person in the right situation. So can't express enough that that needs to be discussed with a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, or medical specialist before that chair goes out into service. In order for the tilt-in option of the chair to take place, there's usually two different ways a chair can be released. As we showed in this reclining back chair, there are release grips that are on the handles, and you squeeze them, and that will allow the chair to pivot in place to allow zero gravity to take place, so the weight distribution is much easier on that person. There's also some tilt-in-space chairs that have a release that's on a rear axle back this way, and you might push that chair down to release the chair so that it pivots in place as well. The next chair we're going to look at that's a specialty chair is the transport wheelchairs. Transport wheelchairs can sometimes be called a companion chair because there's something that an individual cannot use on their own. The companion chairs are designed to make things easier to move around, easier to work with, getting in and out of a vehicle. They're not designed for long-term sitting. They're designed to take someone to a doctor's visit. They're designed to go to the museum for an hour or two. They're designed to get easily in and out of the car, designed to help the caregiver. They're lighter in configuration. They also can be folded down into a smaller size for transportation, making them easier to get in and out of a vehicle. One of the best features for this particular chair is the ability to fold the back down, to pull up on the upholstery to make the chair narrower. You can remove the leg rest and put them in the car itself. And now we have something that makes it much easier to put into the trunk of the car or into the back seat of the car. This particular chair is a little bit heavier, sturdy-wise, for a bigger individual. The next chair is a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to maneuver with, but is only meant for the right individual. Again, knowing the height and weight of people when taking an initial intake order for a borrower, very important to have that information. Some of these chairs have specific weight requirements, which would prevent some customers from utilizing the lighter functionality of the chair. This one also comes with a desk arm. This one is more of a half full arm. These arms are fixed, whereas this arm is tilt back, so you can use a sliding transfer board to get them in and out of the chair. This one's much smaller and compact in design. And certainly to an advantage of somebody that needs a much lighter, maybe a family member that's utilizing this equipment, is much lighter and easier to get in and out of the car. The brakes on these transport chairs are down on the rear wheels themselves in most cases. There are some that have brake levers that are on the back of the handle canes, but they also have a backup emergency option down at the rear wheel itself. Transport chairs do not normally come with an anti-tipper because they're not designed for long-term, nor should they be used by a patient themselves. It also is not recommended to use the elevating leg rests. Elevating leg rests cause an out of balance, including the issue regarding the anti-tippers on the back of the chair. So there are very specific needs for this chair. As always, check with a PT, an OT, or a medical professional to make sure that this is the correct equipment and safe equipment for the borrower to use. When putting the leg rests on any wheelchair, you should always, after clicking them in place, make sure that you give them a little touch of the hands to make sure everything is locked in. Some transport chairs have larger wheels in the back and the same 8 to 6 inch wheels in the front, and that can be better environment to consider if you're going to be on a street sidewalk, someplace where the pavement might be a little uneven. 12-inch wheels would be better in outdoor terrain where it could be a little uneven pavement, making the chair a little bit more useful.